I have this reed here that I made recently. It's an okay reed. It plays pretty well. I'll play it for you. But it's a little wild, a little honky. I need to refine it. And refining the reed is an art form all its own. You know, because most of us can get reeds to play. It's just getting it to have a really quality sound and response and whatnot. And the way I'm going to do that is by focusing on the corners, right in this area, right in here. And it's very light quality scrape. I'm barely touching. You're dusting the reed. And this is the way you want to finish the reed. I can tell just by scraping the tip, some of it's got to go, especially in this area. And you have to do this a little bit at a time. It's much better, but we're going to do a little bit more. And what I'm looking for, what I'm trying to get, is what I call C6 in the crow. And you'll know it when you hear it. And it happens right at the beginning of the crow. It takes your reed from just being a honky, kind of noisy, vibrating instrument to something that's very special. And it's in the quality of the sound and articulation and so on. But you got to do a little bit at a time. You can barely see what's happening to the reed. It's very light. Getting better, but it's still, the reed gets away from me a little bit. And of course it's getting a little flat too. As you can hear it, kind of losing its pitch a little bit. See if I can make sure that you can see what's going on. And I learned this from one of the finest oboe players I've ever heard. And there's only been 2 players that I've worked in section with that I thought to myself, wow, how are they able to do that? And one of them was my grad school teacher, Al Genovese. And the other was this principal oboist of a Midwestern orchestra that I worked with for about a year. And I actually lived with this person. And one of the most extraordinary players I've ever heard. What I'm looking for is a very high bit to the crow. It's getting better, and now it's getting away from me. The tip is getting lighter, but what I'm going to do to compensate for that, and I'll have to clip it, is to just scrape off the ends of the corners. This kind of brings the reed back, so it's not too wild. Of course, this corner is mostly gone, but you want to keep the corners for this, because this creates really a wonderful feel to the reed. But you can see that it's very light. There's hardly anything coming off. in the crow. I can't hear the C6. And that's alright, because the reed is turning out okay. One of the caveats about doing the reed this way, you can't have a gouge that's too strong. If the gouge is strong, you might not get that C6. One more clip, and I'm clipping with a razor blade. I don't know if you can see, but I'm using a razor blade to do this, and clipping hardly anything. You can barely see it. I'm not able to get that C6 or C7, I'm not sure which. Still getting away from me a little bit. I will clip it. It's very much nicer than it was. I don't know if you remember earlier when we started, but it was a bit honky. I'm going to balance the reed a little bit. The tone is in the ribs, and this is what this amazing player told me years ago. He was watching a baseball game and yelled up to me, "The tone's in the ribs." Just a little bit more. Of course, I tend to go too far, but let's see what we have. So it plays really nice. It's very fluid. I kind of had it and I clipped it too far. Yeah, that's what happens sometimes. You want more, you want more, you want more, and it goes too far. But usually working the corners like this, let's see, I gotta make sure I'm looking through the lens here. What happens is it tend to get away from you. We'll counteract that by scraping right along the sides here to get it to sit. And you can see I'm taking hardly anything. And that's the way you have to do it with this reed. Yeah, it's hardly anything is coming off the sides there. Doesn't look like anything special, but it doesn't matter what it looks like. I kind of hear it wants to get that upper crow, but it's not getting it. This is a beautiful reed. This kind of reed here, you could play anything with it. Any concert, rehearsal. When you're finishing the reed, you really want to kind of focus on this region right in here. When you scrape off of the reed, it'll create some stability and slight resistance. So what I do at first is I will just scrape behind the corner, right in this area. Behind the corners in this area. Until we get that quality. And you'll know it when you get it. You'll play the reed and it'll just be a different animal. To balance it with tone, you're going to scrape a little bit more in this region here. If it gets away from you, if it gets too light, too loose, you can scrape off the corners, the very corners of the tip, and this will bring it in. Of course, you may have to clip it slightly throughout this process. It will make a really nice playing reed for you. So keep that in mind the next time you're finishing a reed, and use a very light knife when you're doing this kind of finishing. All right, good luck. See you next time.